Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Pharaoh. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing an SR tier list. This is my third time trying to do this video. I'm trying to do it in under half an hour, so we're going to really rip through it this time. I really want to make this 10 minutes long. I don't want this to be another long video. I always get off, sidetracked and rambling and all this stuff. So we're going to hop right into it here. What I will say first, this is my tier list. I'm not going based off of anything else. This is literally just based on what I have seen on different videos, what I've play tested myself in the game, and things just based on reading the kit. If I haven't used the champion, or the animus, so yeah, just my personal opinion in this list. So we are going to go ahead and fill up the D tier right away. I'm not going to try to make these tiers even. I'm just going to put these things where I think they actually go. So we're going to go ahead. And we will talk about it when I get all of them loaded in here. Oh, there's more. Definitely more down here. I think this is the one that was here. Yep. This one. This one. And I think that's it for the D tier. So we'll run through this real quick. Dorothy the Wisher is the only one in here that I can see going up the tier. She does an increased crit rate and a lifesteal buff effectively for your team. So when you attack the enemy, if you have the buff on, you heal based on 20% of the damage you deal. So pretty cool there. The second skill can do a 50% turn meter increase, potentially 100% chance if it has some sort of critical success. So a full turn meter fill potentially with an increase crit damage buff for one ally, and it does I think it decreases the skill cooldown by 1 turn for your animus. So I can see this potentially being really good somewhere. I haven't found out where it would be. I think she's outclassed by other things. But I'm just saying this to show that I see that there is definitely potential with this version of Dorothy. Obel, just not good enough at poisons. There's just better options. There's only 2 other options in the game, and they're better. Dorothy, an attack-based healer, makes me want to smash my head through my desk. I don't like these at all. In any game, the only one I can think of in any game is Fran in Summoner's War, and Fran doesn't heal for that much, just straight up. I mean, you can't build her tanky and have a bunch of attack at the same time, unless you have pretty good gear, and at that point you're using probably other stuff anyway. So but she's kind of usable in Summoner's War, but Dorothy is just not usable. Like, just don't waste any more time on this thing than you have to. Try it. There's other healers, other things that you will pull that you will definitely throw into your team and take this thing out. Victor is not really used anymore. He was, but because of the changes to the dungeons, he is kind of going to get benched now. If he gets changed or we find something that could be usable on him, he maybe ends up here and back into some relevance up the list, but I think he's probably not gonna make a comeback. I think Victor might be done for. Obero does some debuffs. They're single target. You can get it better elsewhere on AoEs. Doesn't do damage either. Is supposed to do damage, but doesn't. This dude is supposed to do damage, and that's all he's supposed to do, and he doesn't. Chiaki is a healer, just not a very good one. There's just better options. Rin, I just don't understand. Self increases speed, so just for herself has an increased speed, and then has a decreased speed on the enemy. I feel like I've seen people using this one. I don't know why. It makes so little sense to me why you would want to use her, but okay. And then Mizuki brings an AoE increased defense for the team, I believe. She does defense-based damage. She's just bad. Just useless. So that's this tier here. And then we have in the C tier, we have that one. There. So This is the C tier for me. Kraken, I believe, is outclassed by uh, Kazuyo and Mio. I don't think you need him. I don't think you need to build him. The only reason I have him in C tier and not D tier is because you might not have Kazuyo and you might not have Mio either. So you might have to build him for Doki Doki. Or you have to build for Teramaton and just wait. And then not have any speed gear, which sounds really unfortunate. So you might end up having to build him. And some people swear by him, some people love him. I think you are just so much better off with Kazuyo or Mio. So yeah, I'm not going to build him. I don't need to. And I wouldn't recommend it unless you have to. Rin is actually good in Teramaton. She increases defense AoE for your team and then does a shield for your team as well. Third skill does a AoE taunt and a decreased attack, and the first skill is a taunt as well. So actually pretty good for Teramaton. You will take her out and you will use other things, but if you pull her early on, she'll definitely be in your Teramaton team for the first week, I would say, until you pick up like a Freya and maybe a Valerian or something. But yeah, she is good. Really early on into account, she's good. RC77, I want to be good. In a lot of other games, he would definitely be a good champion, something everyone would build. But in this game, he is not, because he does a single target stun on the third skill, and then it turns into an AoE decreased defense and decreased attack on all enemies. Which it should be insane, but in this game you can find other ways of getting those debuffs, not on the same character, but on different characters, and those other characters are bringing more effective weapons into whatever you're doing, whether it's more buffs or more debuffs or more sustain or more damage. They're doing something more, and also adding in the debuffs that he's bringing. Turn it out is the same way, except for buffs. She has an increased attack and an increased defense. There's just other things. I mean, Freya does that on her own, and adds some turn meter fill to your team, adds more survivability to your team. And then, so she's just outclassed by Freya, which everyone should get anyway. And then Yang, he's in C tier because I've seen him physically be used for high level dungeons, and actually be helpful. I don't like the way that his skills work. Although the change that I would recommend making would make him an S tier, so they probably wouldn't want to do that, but I would give him the Grey treatment. I would make his S2, grant him an extra turn when it's used, and become priority. So he would then be increasing attack and increasing crit rate for your whole team on skill 2, and then he'd be getting an extra turn into his third skill where he can triple hit, and for every crit he gets, he increases turn meter for your whole team by 10% per crit. So it could be a 30% turn meter fill right after an increased attack and an increased crit rate. So I feel like that's what his kit should be. That would make him pretty nasty, definitely S tier at that point, but I don't like the way his kit works now. I don't think it synergizes well. I don't think it is going to be long-term viable to build him. I think that people are just kind of fitting in the pieces where they can right now, so some people are using him, but I don't think that lasts very long. So those are the C tiers there. B tier should be pretty quick here. So there, and we have this one. So we'll go this way this time. Chiaki the Echo increases attack and increases turn meter for your team by 20%. I see her as a PvP unit. She can be used in PvE, but I see her as a PvP one-trick pony, increasing attack and increasing turn meter for your team. I see Marvel as a one-trick pony for PvP. The third skill, the cooldown is just too long. You know, they nerfed him by increasing that skill cooldown by one turn, and you feel it. You know, it's too long, but good turn meter manipulation, definitely good for PvP. And then Dinah is a bit overrated at the moment. I've used her. She does increase the damage your team is going to do, but there are other AoE decreased defense options, and as we move forward into the game and more characters are released, I think she 100% drops on the tier list. And when you get towards endgame and you can get modules and you can get shells that are helping you to one-shot enemies and you don't need the vulnerable that Dinah is bringing, then she's useless. I mean, you can get the AoE decrease defense and other things. You can get it on Kloss. You can get it on Jada. I mean, the homeboy here, he brings the AoE decrease defense too. I mean, if you don't need the vulnerable that she places, you're already dealing enough damage anyway. These two become the same thing. RC77 and Dinah. And again, there'll be more characters that do AoE decrease defense. Like, she will get outclassed eventually and fall down the list. I strongly believe that to be the case, at least. But she is currently usable. She's all right. She is all right. She'll seem more broken really early on, like the first day or two. She'll seem really better than she is, and then you're gonna be like, well, I need other stuff, and then you might come back to her and be like, well, great, she's increasing damage, but again, I don't see that being long term. So the A tier here, we will have Gray, Sonya, Viper, Fangus, Kazumi, and Kashi. And I think it would look something like this if we were being realistic here. These could be interchangeable. These ones here are just sort of in any order, D, C, and B. But for A and S tier, I'm going to try to put them in order. There's no, well, besides this one, which maybe I can understand people using, like, there's no order to trash. It's all trash, so, as far as I'm concerned. So here we have Kazumi, who the third skill is pretty nasty. Reduces cooldowns of all Animus and Shells on your team by 1 turn, and increases speed for 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown, so extremely good there. Extremely viable for that third skill. Very, very cool there. Fangus is the better dot option over Obel, and can potentially be used without Shadow Sonya, because his third skill actually brings an AoE dot, but also brings an AoE decreased defense. Or not decreased defense, decreased speed. Brings an AoE decreased speed, so really, really viable there. The first skill also brings a dot, and then the second skill has a 50% chance when skilled up to assist a teammate when they deal damage to an enemy. So he can bring extra dots that way as well. He is pretty good. Hard to say much more there. He can deal some damage too. He's sort of a flexible unit in the way you can build him. He's good. Definitely a good champion there. Good hero, good monster, good Animus, good unit. All of the words, all of the terminology. Too many gacha games, I'll tell you. Gray, pretty good unit. Free, the best free unit you get, in my opinion, at least. Right off the bat. Like, you get Ling Luo for free, too, who's great for a different reason. There's other things, but Gray is like that day 1 free unit you get that I think is the best one, and you're keeping, and you're using him to play for at least the first couple weeks. So increased crit rate, and then gets an extra turn into an AoE decreased defense, and he cycles his skills very, very fast. Even without skill ups, the skill cycle is very fast. But with skill ups, it's totally insane. He literally will be increasing crit rate and decreasing defense constantly if you have him skilled up. Viper, AoE, dispel 2 debuffs, or dispels 2 buffs from the enemy, AoE, and then AoE decrease attack and decrease speed. Really, that's just insane. That's an outstanding skill. And then the second skill decreases crit damage your team receives by 30% and has a chance to counterattack, and I believe the first skill is a silence. He is really, really good. I have a couple other dispelling options. Like, I've got Heinrich, I've got Holden, I've got a few different things, but I still think that I will definitely build him for wave content, and maybe he ends up in Aurora, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he ends up in a different boss, I'm not sure, but really, really good with the dispelling and the debuffs he brings. Kachi the Guard increases defense and puts a shield up, or no, not shield, immunity. Increases defense and does immunity for your whole team. and if you have enough effect accuracy on him, you can make him critically succeed, where he will then extend all the buffs he just placed and all of the buffs that were already on your team by 1 turn. Really, 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 really strong. Outstanding skill there. His second skill is a single target decrease speed, and the first skill is a single target decrease crit rate. He is going to be used in bosses, not in wave content anyway, so that makes sense for him to have those debuffs. Just the total package in a lot of ways. Freya kind of fills that role in a way. She brings the increased defense and then does some other things. But there is going to be some areas where Kachi probably ends up being better because he's bringing the debuffs as well. He's going to be potentially better than Freya for some shell bosses. So yeah, he is definitely one to look out for and worth investing in, at least in terms of levels and getting him to like 5 stars. Like, don't put lattices into him until you're ready, but yeah. And then Sonya I have at the top of the A tier because she doesn't need any lattices at all, and she does a ton of healing. She can revive on that third skill. Just an incredible healer. Really, really great. Even though she's outclassed by some other units in different areas, like she could be outclassed by a Valerian here or a Freya there or a Ling Luo over there, she is still going to have her day in some content where she will be better than all of those 3 and still be usable. Great SR there. And I haven't invested any lattices into her. I don't think you need to, once again. So yep. And then we have in the S tier at this point, you can see we have these 3. So Kazuyo is usable everywhere. Great in Doki Doki. Unlocks Doki Doki. I think way better than Kraken. She does the AoE sleep. She does an AoE decrease attack. Her first skill is also a chance to sleep. So yeah, the AoE sleep on the third skill is on a 3-turn cooldown actually as well. So it's getting that AoE sleep and the AoE decrease attack around a lot. So outstanding unit. She's the right affinity for it as well. And then again, she is going to be usable in wave content. She's going to be usable in PvP. Really, really awesome champion there. Valerian brings a lot of buffs. She makes borderline impossible content possible for a lot of people because of how she can shield and help keep your team alive. Great champion there. And then Ditting was my first 6-star. He is unbelievable burst damage. He does such nasty damage. The second skill, every time he starts a turn, marks an enemy and gets an increase of 60% crit rate when attacking that enemy. He is single target, so he will only attack that enemy. So you just need 40% crit rate on him at the least, and then any additional crit rate beyond 100% gets turned into crit damage that he can then use for that attack. The third skill does a follow-up attack as well. It already does big damage, and then it does the follow-up after that. And then the first skill has a chance to land vulnerable, so the enemy will take more damage with that debuff on. 30% more damage, I think. So outstanding. So this is my list. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments section for sure. If you comment though, explain why would be awesome. Explain where you're using it, why you think it's good, that kind of thing. Not just this unit's really good or no, that unit sucks. Like, it'd be great for me and for everyone else to see like why some of you guys feel differently about some things. So anyway, that's all for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see everybody next time.